Welcome to Massive Late Fee. And now your hosts, Mark and Carol. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me as always is my girlfriend, Carol. How you doing, Carol?
Hey, what's up?
Much. It's been a good week here. It is January 26th, 1996.
Look at you all confident knowing the date.
I know.
It's awesome.
Well, we've got some stuff to talk about today, Carol.
We do.
Yeah. Slap bracelets. No, those aren't really in fashion anymore.
Nah.
Dunkaroos are, though.
Dunkaroos are fucking delicious.
Yes, they are, aren't they? There's never enough frosting, though.
Yeah.
Not quite enough.
There's never enough frosting in the whole world.
That's true. You know, I have a recipe to make my own frosting.
Ooh.
I'm just saying.
I want to try it.
I think you've already tried it.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you?
What's funny is I wasn't even going there when I said it, because I genuinely do have a recipe for frosting. But then, I don't know, it just felt like it got set up for that.
Wow.
Your face. So, something else that seems like a setup. The grand jury is calling the First Lady, Hillary Rodham Clinton, and 5 others to testify about white water.
Whoa.
Which also kind of ties in, I guess, if you think about it.
Now, white water is
some kind of land development deal in Arkansas or something like that, and they think that Hillary Clinton and maybe Bill Clinton cheated some people or something like that, or used inside knowledge or something, and then one of the people involved in it died, and they're like, oh, maybe they killed him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's all this whole
Really?
thing.
They think that the president and the first lady killed somebody? Like,
Well,
aren't they busy enough?
Back when he was governor. Not when he was... I mean, he was governor of Arkansas. That can't be that busy. It's not a real state like being governor of California or something like that.
I've never been to Arkansas, and I've never heard anything about it.
Is that one diamond, like, whatever the fuck it's called? I can't remember what it's called. There's a national park there that's, I think it's like Diamond National Park or something like that. But it's like the biggest diamond mine or reserve or whatever in the United States.
Okay.
Like one of the only major ones. And I think there's a part of it where if you walk through, if you find diamonds on the ground, you can keep them. But they're always like super tiny, and they're not, it's not like no one finds anything really worth anything there. But
that sounds kind of cool.
I've got to imagine that's the only thing they're even thinking about in Arkansas.
I am, I don't know. I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, but I'm going to say it.
Say it.
I didn't know we had diamonds in the United States. I thought they only had them in Africa.
Well, I mean, there's no embarrassment in saying that. Usually I would give you a thorough rinsing for not knowing something. But I think that's because I believe this place in Arkansas, it might be the only place. If it's not, it's the only one of substance as far as diamonds go. So you're not far wrong.
Cool.
It's mostly Africa. I do believe... You know what? Honestly, I don't know either. I mean, like, I can't act superior or anything like that because I know they have them in Africa, and I know they have them in this one place in Arkansas. But do they mine diamonds in any other country in the world? I don't know. I guess maybe if they did, it'd be Asia would be my guess, but I have no clue. I have no idea. I know there are a few countries in Africa where it's very famous, South Africa and some of those countries. Whoa.
Oh, excuse me.
It's the winter season.
It is.
God bless you. I don't say bless you. I say God bless you because I can't do that.
Okay.
I am not the Lord.
Well, I appreciate blessings from God.
I hope a comedian never steals that line because that's a funny line. We're in 96, remember. So, Politically Incorrect is moving to ABC. I don't know how I feel about this. Are you familiar with Politically Incorrect?
No.
I don't watch it with you, so I assume that you don't watch it.
Never heard of it.
It's the Comedy Central political show hosted by Bill Maher.
Well, there you go with the fucking cable again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to leap into the 80s and get cable.
Talk to my mom.
Well, you can watch cable. See, the thing is, it's a late night show, and you're rarely over the house late at night.
Well, if I am, we're not watching TV.
I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, that's true. Anyway, so, yeah, Politically Incorrect. I think it's on at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night or something like that on Comedy Central. And now they are moving to the American Broadcasting Company because the show's getting pretty big. So, it'll be interesting. I'm happy for Bill Maher and the Politically Incorrect crew, but I don't know. Something tells me that it will be more sanitized on ABC than it is on Comedy Central.
I think it would have to be, wouldn't it? I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's like the whole difference between cable and public television.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
I know they'll reach a wider audience.
Like me.
On what? You'll reach a wider audience?
No, like I'm part of the wider audience that they will reach.
I was going to say, wait a second, what wider audience are you reaching?
Well, you didn't know, but you know,
I know we have a lot of fans of these shows, but a lot of fans of our show. But so, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm up in the air about it because I think being on Comedy Central, one, it being cable, and two, it being smaller, I think that gives them a certain amount of freedom.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm going to supercut you yawning. I'm just going to... Whenever I'm editing this show, I'm going to take out every time you yawn when we're doing the show, and I'm going to cut it into just... That'd
be so embarrassing.
It'll be 5 hours long of just you yawning.
I don't think anybody would have even noticed if you hadn't said anything. You only noticed because you're looking at me.
Yeah, I like looking at you.
Apparently you don't like looking at me yawning.
Well, I mean, we're doing a show trying to entertain people, and
I can't help
you're
it.
so bored.
I'm not bored. I'm tired.
Oh, is there a carbon monoxide leak in here? Is that why?
Fuck off.
Anyway, Sally Field, like me right now, says she wants to be alone.
What?
The two-time Academy Award winner says she now realizes that people need their solitude and separateness. The 49-year-old star of the recently released Eye for an Eye reflects after two failed marriages, one to high school sweetheart Steve Gregg, the other to producer Alan Griezmann, that couples should have separate bedrooms. There's something unnatural about sleeping in the same bed, dressing in the same closet, sharing everything, Field says in the January 29th issue of People magazine.
What the fuck?
Field says she has stopped feeling guilty about her lifelong penchant for solitary activities such as needlepoint, reading, and writing in her journal. Okay.
Well, that's why you have two failed marriages, because you don't want to be with your husband.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, right?
Yeah. I mean,
there's something unnatural about sleeping next to... I disagree.
I like writing in my journal and reading too, and I do like I do plastic canvas, not needlepoint. Yeah, right. But that doesn't mean that I don't also
What's plastic canvas? Explain to folks out there what plastic canvas is.
It's kind of like cross stitch, but it's plastic.
What's cross stitch?
It's making a picture.
Okay.
With plastic squares that you put yarn through, colored yarn.
Sure.
And it's kind of like coloring.
I believe it's just called African American yarn now. I think that's pretty politically incorrect.
You are so
colored yarn.
Gross, okay?
Colored yarn only. How's it gross?
Because it's just you're a gross person.
What the fuck? Maybe you and Sally Field have more in common than you think.
Maybe.
The fuck? A gross person.
Why would you take something beautiful like plastic
and
canvas
try to make it into a funny joke
and
for people
make
listening?
It
I don't know.
Gross.
I don't know why I would try to do that.
Anyways, it like I was trying to say, it's like coloring with yarn.
Okay.
That's
a good way to explain it. Coloring with yarn and plastic.
Yeah.
And needles.
Yeah. That's right.
All right, cool. So you don't do that. But so my point is with Sally Field, I don't think that it's unnatural to sleep with somebody else. I think it's unnatural to sleep by yourself.
Yeah.
Think about evolution. Like when people slept in caves and stuff like that, didn't they always like cuddle up? Even, I mean, like families used to sleep together, right?
Yeah,
like whole
all
families.
in the same room.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it's more unnatural to sleep totally alone.
Yeah, I think she's just spoiled.
Maybe she was an only child. I don't know.
Yeah.
You never hear about any brothers or sisters that she has.
Maybe she's just not a nice person.
You know, Linda Hamilton has a twin sister.
Okay. Why do we care about Linda?
I'm just saying, if Sally Field had siblings, I think we'd know.
Okay.
I know that Linda Hamilton has a twin sister.
Who the fuck is Linda Hamilton?
From Terminator.
Oh, okay.
In Terminator 2. They used her twin sister in a couple scenes, like when she had to look in the mirror and stuff like that.
What?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what, it's not like a horror movie thing where she looks in the mirror and then she looks away, but I think for some special effect they needed her to be looking into a mirror, but it couldn't be a mirror. Maybe because of the camera and the lighting or something like that, I don't know. But they used her twin, and it just looked like it was a reflection because they were twins.
Well, I do kind of remember a scene where she was staring in the mirror.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah, that's her twin sister getting screen time.
Weird.
Getting paid scale.
Well, good for her.
Yeah.
I wonder if her sister can act as well as she can.
Obviously not, or she'd probably be more things.
Well, I mean, we don't know.
Other than playing second-rate Linda Hamilton things.
Maybe she just didn't want to be an actress.
Maybe
she's a doctor.
Maybe she's a professional needlepointist.
Maybe.
Or plastic canvasser.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing.
She canvasses the entire neighborhood with plastic canvas.
Yep.
So that's the news for this week.
Cool. Thanks for that.
I'm challenging you.
Why?
To think of anything.
To think of something? Okay, sure. This week, we watched Star Trek Voyager.
We did.
It was terrible.
It's the second season, 14th episode of the second season, called Alliances.
It was the most boring thing I've ever seen. Like, I liked Star Trek The Next Generation. Mm-hmm. My mom's a big Trekkie.
Yeah.
So I'm used to Star Trek.
Sure.
Nothing happened in this episode until it did, and even when it did, I didn't care.
Well, the thing is, it's like nothing of consequence happened.
Right.
Because they started in one place, and then stuff happened, and then they ended in the exact same situation. And it's like wheel spinning.
Yeah.
That's all.
But I mean, it was political. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe we'd care more if we were into the show already, but
who would be dumb enough to make a sci-fi or fantasy series or movie or whatever and say, let's put politics into it?
Right, because that's gonna, rack up the ratings.
Yeah, how would that be entertaining? There's no way that's going to be entertaining at all.
So dumb.
There's enough politics on Earth.
And like
Hillary Clinton's getting deposed for white
right?
water. But anyway, so to explain a little bit, I've only seen a couple episodes of this show, and I think this is the first episode you've seen at all. So for those of you that are not tuning into UPN and watching the show, it's basically Voyager, which is weird. I guess it's coincidental that their ship's named Voyager, and they're going on a Voyager.
Wait a minute. Is Voyager different than Star Trek Voyager?
No, yes, Star Trek Voyager. That's what we watched.
But you said
the name of their ship in the show is the Voyager.
Okay,
that's where they get it's not the Enterprise. It's Voyager.
Right. Okay.
So in the pilot episode, they're investigating this anomaly or something like that, and they get attacked by the Maquis, which are a alien race that was at war with the Cardassians. And there was some stuff in the late seasons of TNG with Cardassians and the Maquis and stuff like that, and the Bajorans, and like how they had this uneasy alliance or whatever.
Okay.
So the Maquis are like, they don't hate the Federation. I mean, they kind of hate the Federation. They want to destroy their enemies and stuff. So they attack, or they attack the Voyager, or they had secret like agents on the Voyager or something like that. Anyway, they end up through weird stuff. They get beamed or sent to the Delta Quadrant. I guess the Milky Way galaxy is divided into 4 different quadrants. The alpha quadrant, the beta quadrant, I don't know. What was the alpha, beta, gamma. The gamma quadrant, and then the delta quadrant. And they're in the delta quadrant, which I guess is like 70,000 light years away from Earth or something like that.
Okay.
So it's going to take them 100 and some years to get back.
So they're not getting back in their lifetime.
I bet you they do when the show ends. But yes, with current means, it would be impossible for them to get back while they're still alive.
Okay.
I think. Or maybe
sad.
Maybe it's like 50 years. I don't know. It's going to take them a long time to get back. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you look at the rest of Star Trek, because in Star Trek 5, they travel to the center of the galaxy or something like that to meet that dude that was God but wasn't God. You know, the one that Kirk was like, what would God need with a starship?
Yeah.
That guy, that was the center of the galaxy, and it took them like a day to get there. So I don't know exactly how all this works. But anyway, they're far away from home, and it's going to take them forever. And they're meeting new kinds of aliens, new kinds of threats, because they're in this new place that they've never been to before, which could have been interesting, but the show doesn't do anything with it.
Okay.
It's like I like getting away from Romulans and Klingons and even the Borg and stuff like that, because we've seen it all a lot. And having new threats, like actually really exploring new areas would be cool, but they don't. It doesn't seem like they really do that. And when they do, it's not interesting. They don't. And they've got this dude, Neelix, that I think is just like the cook. And he's so... First of all, he's the most annoying fucking character in the world.
He is. He's weird, he's annoying, and he looks like, I don't know, like some kind of pet.
Yeah, he does.
I don't understand how he can look like a person and a pet at the same time, but he does.
And he is like their cook, and he's just allowed to be in officer-level briefings. I don't get that.
Makes no sense.
But he always has some kind of idea, though. Oh, hey, we need to make an alliance with this group. I know somebody that's part of this group.
Yeah.
Let me go try and the guy tells him to fuck off immediately. It doesn't work at all.
Right.
So I guess they're being attacked by this group of people. I don't know. I mean, what do you want to say about this show?
Okay, here, I can summarize it really quick, okay?
Yeah, please do.
They're being attacked. An officer gets killed. Everybody's sad. They have a funeral. They're like, what are we going to do? And the cook says, let's make an alliance. So they try to make an alliance. It fails. They try with a different sect. It works. They call a meeting. Everybody comes together, and somebody tries to kill them all because they're all in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
And so then it all falls to hell again, and they're back to being in danger.
Yeah, the group that they end up making alliance with, apparently, and I thought this right away, the guy's talking about how, like, oh yeah, we kept... there's a bunch of different factions of one species that are all attacking Voyager. I can't remember what they're called. But they were the slaves, essentially, to this other guy. And he's like, yeah, you know, no one that's alive right now controlled the slavery. And our kids are certainly innocent, but they're still mad about their race being slaves to us for like 1,000 years. I don't get it. It's like when people today are like, well, nobody that was alive today owned slaves, so black people shouldn't be pissed off about owning slaves, or, you know, that they were slaves, because we didn't own slaves and they weren't slaves. And it's like, I wonder if there's anything about slavery or the subsequent segregation and oppression of black people that could possibly have an effect on their ability to be successful today.
Right. I
wonder if that is possible. And it's the stupidest argument in the world, but people make it all the time.
Yeah.
It's like when we're 1,000 years away from slavery, and we've reached some sort of equality where black people get an equal shot to white people, then you could make that argument.
Well, maybe like someday if we have like a black president, then then we'll know that we made it, right?
Right, exactly. Racism will probably officially be dead at that point.
Of course.
We won't even have to worry about it anymore. But it's not that long ago when you think about it.
No.
The 1960s, that's the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
It's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people alive today who were like middle-aged during the civil rights movement.
But I mean, you were talking about slavery. I mean, that was longer ago.
Yeah, slavery was about 130 years ago or so. Yeah. So, I mean, longer.
Couple generations.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, that guy betrays them and tries to kill all of them.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, I was doing it for you too, because when they're all dead, you'll be happier." And the captain's like, "Yeah, fuck yourself." So she starts out saying, "We have to be rigidly adherent to Starfleet regulations. We must do everything exactly by the book, even if it's endangering us, even if it's getting us killed. We must do things by the book because those are our principles, and we're going to stand by them no matter what."
Even though they're way off, far away from everything and everyone they know.
And then her first officer makes a valid argument that perhaps we could creatively interpret some of these rules in order to make it better for ourselves. And they're the Vulcan, the token Vulcan that's on every single Star Trek show now.
Every Spock, yeah.
Because Leonard Nimoy was such a good actor, now they have to have a Vulcan on every show. He makes a great point about Spock and Star Trek VI and says, "Hey, remember the Undiscovered Country and when Praxis blew up and we made a peace with the Klingons, and even though Kirk was like, let them die and stuff, you know."
Let them die.
So he makes a really good point, and she's like, "Oh, maybe I am being too rigid." And then at the end, she's just proven correct.
Yeah.
And she just goes back to this is why I was right all along. That's not growth.
Can I just say something though? I hate her. I really hate her. She's
Captain
the most
Janeway.
annoying person.
Oh.
Like the way she moves her head, even it's weird. It's like she's got it attached all floppy, and it's always at an angle, and she's always looking around like she just doesn't know where to look or what to do, or she's in pain. And she talks like a snake.
Yes.
Everything she says is like this.
We can't do this, Neelix.
I want to hit her in the face.
She sounds like Ka.
Yes, exactly.
Trust in me. But seriously, I don't like her. And I like, what's her name? Kate Mulgrew. That's the actress that plays her. Uh-huh. I've seen her in some other stuff. I like her as an actress. I do not like this character, and I don't really love her performance of this character.
No.
I think the character's written badly, but I also think she doesn't make it better. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how strict they are with her, but I think as an actress, she could elevate this material, but she doesn't do it. Yeah. It's really bad.
It's really, really bad. If you haven't seen it, watch it just to see how bad it is.
Paramount decided, hey, let's make our own network and then put this on. Paramount's going to fail as a company. Let's make our own network, and this new Star Trek show will be the flagship show of our network.
Shit show? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it is. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's no good. It's no bueno.
No, not at all. What was bueno was the movie we watched this week.
Yes. Mr. Holland's Opus.
Very bueno. At the end of this movie, I had this thought, and I wonder if you agree or not. But I thought to myself, this movie feels both epic in scale and very personal at the same time. Like, I think the movie, it feels like a saga, like a family saga. And I think the part of the reason is all the, and I think it's interesting and amazing how they ride the line between those two different types of stories. And I think it's because the world is on the edges of this story. So we see Vietnam. We see some newsreel footages of Vietnam. We see newsreel footage of Watergate and all these, the moon landing, all these things, these momentous things that are happening from 1965 to 1995. And we see the ramifications in their own lives of some of it, whether it's the kid dying in the Vietnam War, or whether it's John Lennon's death in 1980, and we see the way it affects his family. But the core of the movie is about this guy and this guy's life, and the tapestry of this guy's life, what he made from it, and how he affected the world around him.
Yeah.
So, and the scene at the end, obviously, if you haven't seen the movie, go and see it. But the scene at the end, where everyone's in the auditorium, I think that perfectly encapsulates what I'm talking about. It's one guy and one guy's life, but this is the ripple effect of everything.
Right.
So it feels large in scope, but the story's very personal at the same time. It's very limited to his point of view. And I think it's really interesting how everyone's life is like that. Everyone sees life from their own point of view, and to everybody's life is personal, because this is all you get to see. But the totality of it is larger and bigger than any of us can even realize a lot of times.
Definitely. That's really cool.
So I think the movie balances those two things and really kind of blends them together beautifully.
It kind of reminded me of Forrest Gump.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, I guess mainly, because it's a story showing somebody, going through their life and growing, but also because you get to see the backdrop of the United States changing. And I think that
it's a less fantastical, less comedic Forrest Gump, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Forrest Gump is out there a little bit, and this one's definitely more, believable.
It's more grounded in reality. It's very difficult. It stretches the imagination a lot to think that this one person did all this amazing stuff and was there when colleges were desegregated, was there to meet Elvis, was there to inspire people to come up with all these ideas. I like Forrest Gump a lot. It's a fun movie, but it gets fairly farcical at times. This one's much more grounded in reality and much more believable. And
the redhead from Sybil, the daughter.
Oh, is she in Sybil?
Yeah.
Okay.
She plays Sybil's daughter.
Okay.
And she's in this movie. Mm-hmm. She's the first student that he really cares about. So it's kind of cool to see her in a different role. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you didn't remember her.
I don't watch Sybil a lot. You watch Sybil a lot more than I do. I know we covered it on the show, but I don't watch it a ton.
But basically, it's about a music teacher who got into it as a backup gig because he wanted to make some money. He was going to only do it for 4 years so that he could go back to composing music and performing. And it, of course, ends up being a lifetime gig.
30 years, yeah.
Yeah. He, and because his wife gets pregnant, so that kind of traps him in there needing to be able to provide for a family.
It's funny, too. It's, the story of his life. So he doesn't change as much as America changes.
Yeah.
They don't, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's an opportunity wasted. I don't know. But because in the 60s, he's teaching rock and roll. Mm-hmm. He's clearly more on the cutting edge. But I mean, that makes sense for his character of a traveling musician and everything. He's definitely more on the cutting edge than most people. But it is funny to see. We see 1995, we see him coming into school and everything, and we see two guys holding hands and kissing and stuff like that, and all the people with the fashion of today, baggier shorts and the wrist spikes, and everything that people wear, the leather bands with the spikes on them and stuff like that, and the mohawks, and just all the different kind of fashion that we see today. And we start in 1965 with everyone wearing skirts and ties, and to see in 30 years, because we're in one place, we're just in this high school, to see through 30 years how things change so much, it really opens your eyes to how much we have changed as a country, whether it's through fashion or pop culture, things like that we've changed.
Yeah.
But he doesn't change all that much. He changes in a couple pretty fundamental ways on a personal level, but it doesn't really reflect the changes in America.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different things going on. He's not changing in correlation with society. He's changing in relation to his life. And
that's what I mean. Like, if we dovetailed those two things, where he changes as society changes, would that be better? Would it not be better? I don't know. I don't know if that would come off as too formulaic or too cliche, or I don't know if it's an opportunity wasted or not. Because his life it's also not lived in contrast to the times. He definitely, his fashion certainly changes at least a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, like but I don't know. I don't know whether that's good or bad. I'm not sure. I'm undecided on it. I guess I'd have to see a totally other cut of the movie with them doing that to see what I think.
But like you said, it's 30 years in one place, so you can really see it. And the contrast is kind of startling, going from
for sure.
60s to 95. But, you know, imagine if we started out in 25 or 35 going to 65.
Right.
It wouldn't be as different. I mean, there's been a lot more change from 65 to 95 than there has in any time I can think of.
That's true. Yeah, 35 to 65, we'd have bikinis.
Yeah.
Bikinis didn't exist in 35. I guess people would be dressing a little more risque than they did in 35, but yeah, things wouldn't have changed that much. I think television, movies, music, big time, changed society through the 60s, because if you think about the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and then going into the punk era of the mid 70s to the late to the early 80s and all that stuff, I think popular music really, and that's, you know, one of the big themes of this movie. I think popular music really drove a lot of change during that time. It was a big engine of change, and you know, popular music from the 30s to right before rock and roll, it wasn't that big of a change. So yeah, I agree. I think that this is much more drastic of a change. And then just basic human rights. There's a lot of basic human rights changes.
For sure.
The civil rights movement, the 60s was a hugely transformative time, both in music and with the civil rights movement and the war and everything. So,
what's your favorite scene in this movie?
Wow, that's a tough question. My favorite scene in this movie, maybe when he's singing to his son.
Yeah,
that might be my favorite scene.
That's one of my favorites for sure. It's really, really moving. Because this musician, and for anybody who doesn't know the story, who, like, music is his life. He plays music to his wife's stomach.
He names his son Coltrane.
Sebastian, I think. Coltrane Sebastian.
No, it's something else.
Wolfgang? I don't know. But maybe, some other composer.
Yeah.
But Coltrane was his, favorite. That's like who made him fall in love with music.
Right.
So, yeah, and then the kid ends up being deaf.
Profoundly deaf.
Yeah.
Basically can't hear anything.
90% deaf. So, they're struggling with this because it is the 60s and they don't know what to do.
And their doctor says, oh, don't let him talk with his hands. I see he's trying to communicate with his hands. Shut that shit down. Right now. Because if he talks with his hands, he'll never learn to talk with his voice, and then everyone will call him a freak like I think he is.
It was, yeah. Really bad.
One of the ways things have changed.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of struggle to figure out how to deal with, Cole and how to get him help. And Dad kind of pieces out on it.
Absolutely. He abandons his family without abandoning his family.
Yeah. He's not there. Like, the wife is dealing all the time with trying to communicate with her son, and he's just gone. Like, he never learned sign language till he was a teenager.
Pretty much, yeah. Till after he calls him an asshole.
Yeah.
Which I think is funny. So the son has this big argument with him. John Lennon dies, and he's like, "Oh, you wouldn't understand," the dad says. And he gets this big argument with him, and he's like, and the wife is interpreting because he's signing. And he's like, "Oh, you didn't think I'd know who John Lennon is? What do you think, I'm a fucking idiot?
Right.
You don't think I know what popular music is? You don't think I know about the stuff that you love just because I can't hear it, you fucking dick?" And I'm paraphrasing. But,
obviously.
But she tells him all this stuff. He calls him an asshole and then storms off. And instead of doing nothing about it like most people would, or instead
of getting mad,
or instead of making some half-hearted effort, it just changes he's like, "Yeah, okay, I'm being an asshole."
Well, one of the things that he said that I think was, what triggered him was, "You could try to help me understand it, but you don't."
Yeah. You care more about your other students than you care about your own son. There's like 3 or 4 different inflection points in this movie where someone yells at him or someone gets angry at him, and that changes his life. Like Olympia Dukakis at the beginning of the movie, the principal, she's like, "Hey, you're pretty good at teaching them the basics, but the other thing you're supposed to do is kind of give them a direction, give them a compass," she says. She's like, "You are shitty at that."
Yeah.
Because you run for the door every day faster than any of the students, so why don't you be better? And then she just, I mean, she's not mean about it like I just was, but she says the compass stuff, and he takes it to heart and starts working with students more and falls more in love with the job. And then I'm trying to think, there's a couple other points where somebody talks to him roughly and he changes his mind.
Yeah, he's very open to criticism.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I think that might be a point where it's not a real story, where you can see that it's not a real story. Because I don't think most people are that willing to change and that open to criticism. I mean,
I think maybe he just is one of those kinds of people, though.
Yeah, I guess. I've never met one of those people.
Well, he's an artist, so he's, more empathetic, creative thinking, and things like that, but he's also a good teacher, so he has a good mind. And as you can see in class, he has a good grasp of academics. He's smart enough to kind of logically think things out. So maybe when someone confronts him with something that he can't dispute, he thinks about it and realizes the error of his ways and, changes. But I agree. I don't think there's a lot of people out there like that, but maybe he is one of those few people.
Yeah.
I can believe it.
But, and like the very end of the thing, 1995, him and his son have a great relationship now. His son's a teacher.
Yep.
And they're shutting down the entire music program.
A thing that they do more and more nowadays.
I know, it's terrible. They were actually talking about that at the school I went to my freshman year. And, I mean, not where I'm at now, but yeah, it was touch and go.
And are you in high school right now?
No.
Or are we not? I don't know. You decide.
Right.
Let's choose your own adventure.
Anyway, I think that's terrible. Like he said when he was arguing with them, you can teach them to read and write, but eventually they're not going to have anything to read and write about.
Yep, exactly.
So.
And he's right. We need artistic expression. Life is meaningless without it.
Yes.
I understand that physics and chemistry and mathematics and history, I'm a huge fan of history. I understand that all those things, engineering and stuff like that, I understand that all those things are vitally important for society. But just as important is music and art and books and television and movies, because those are the things that make life worth living.
And, that on the larger scale is, the point of this, but on his own personal level, he's 60 years old. Mm-hmm. That's not quite retirement age.
Right.
And he's being kicked out of his job.
Yeah.
Like, is he even going to get a pension? Because I don't think it counts as retirement. Like,
well, he's been there 30 years.
I hope they take care of him.
Yeah, I would assume they would.
So it's really bad, and he feels like he doesn't matter. He's expendable. Like,
well, one of his own former students is on the school board.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck you, Mr. Holland.
Basically. So, yeah, he gets really down, and then they set up this amazing thing where they have everybody, like, the whole auditorium is just filled with people who want to, say goodbye to him and let him know that they appreciate him.
Yep.
And even, like, that first student, the redheaded student, she's the governor now. I think that's so cute.
Which I don't understand why she can't do anything about this budget, but...
Right. But yeah,
that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but whatever.
Like, all the students that stuck out during the movie are there as adults and playing.
Except for Terrence Howard, who died.
Yeah,
in Vietnam.
That was sad. So they play his opus. They play what he's been working on writing for his whole life. So he gets to reach that goal. That thing that he's always wanted is to have this performed. So,
but really, his opus is all those people in the auditorium.
Right.
That's really his accomplishment. But now, do you think they played the passage that he wrote about the teenager he wanted to fuck?
I think that was separate.
Probably, yeah.
Because it was called Rowena's theme.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a separate piece of music.
Yeah, the teenager from Uncle Buck is in this movie. And apparently she can sing. Who knew? I had no idea. I assume she does Broadway or something like that. Because I haven't seen her in a whole lot of movies. So if you can sing and you're a good actress, and she's a pretty good actress, then you're probably doing Broadway. If you're at this level anyway.
That's what her character's going to end up doing, probably.
Yeah, probably. You're right. But she has a flirtation, and it's a believable one, too. Yeah. Again, it's not over the top or anything. She appreciates him as some sort of father figure and mentor. And
don't say father figure.
Well, don't you think? I mean,
it's gross.
Obvious. Any young woman that lusts after somebody that much older than her is probably has some issues with her dad.
I'm sure she has issues with her dad, but I mean, like, when you say he's a father figure and she wants to have sex with him, that's all edible and nasty.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's the opposite of edible. Edible's the son and the mom.
Oh, okay,
it's,
fine. Electra.
Yes, there you go. Hey, very good. Check out the big brain on Carol.
Oh, shush.
Anyway, so she wants him, and it's like a very subtle flirtation. Mm-hmm. And then she basically comes out and says, "Hey, I'm leaving.
Come with me.
I want you to go with me."
And they've never done anything. I mean, that's pretty presumptuous to think he's going to leave his whole life to go with you and you've never even kissed.
You can write your music and everything, but he decides not to. He decides not to fuck this teenager and stay with his wife.
Yeah.
And his wife figures it out. Do you think they ever talked about it?
Nope.
You don't think she ever said, "Hey,
nope.
Remember that Rowena thing?" Yeah, nope. I knew.
She was just glad that it was over, whatever it was.
Do you think that she suspected that he did something inappropriate with her?
Yes.
But he didn't.
No.
I mean, he had inappropriate thoughts.
Yeah, and I mean, he spent an inappropriate amount of time and energy on this one student. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, either way, he was being a little inappropriate. But, yeah, I mean, his wife might think they fucked. I don't know, but I don't think she ever confronted him.
Mm-hmm. Different time.
Yeah.
If it happened now, it'd be a big fight.
Well, think about it. She's a housewife, and he's taking care of her, and
that's true.
What's she gonna do?
Right. He's gone all day too, so who knows what shenanigans he could be getting up to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I thought they were gonna have another kid, but they never had another kid. Just the one.
Maybe they were afraid that they'd have another deaf kid.
We keep getting deaf ones. Like it's a bad prize in a Cracker Jack box or something like that. It's the whistle again.
Actually, though, I think that would be really hard to deal with, don't you? Like, having a deaf kid and then having a hearing child and, like, having, like, all the differences that would, you know, like, there'd probably be, like, a rivalry and,
A rivalry? It's the classic rivalry, hearing versus deaf.
Shut up.
What kind of rivalry would they have?
For their parents' affection. Because of the dad. Because
hey, remember the
way the dad is.
Remember the sound of Dad's voice? Oh no, you don't.
Wow. Oh goodness.
Maybe the next one would be blind, and then the third one couldn't speak. It could be a united. It could be like the United Colors of Benetton, but it's the United Disabilities of Mr. Holland.
Oh my God.
Want to be born with spina bifida. Her womb is just it's like a slot machine of disabilities.
That's awful.
What's it gonna go? Do-do-do-do, what's it gonna come up?
Why did you think they were gonna have another child?
I thought I would assume that they'd want to have another kid.
They didn't even want to have that one
because their first one was a dud.
You're an asshole. But think about they really
think
didn't.
About all the names you've called me this episode.
Have I?
You called me an asshole. You said I was. What did you say? That I was.
I don't know.
Gross or something.
Oh, did I say you? Oh yeah, I said you were a gross person.
Yes.
You know I love you.
Oh my gosh! You don't think they want kids at all?
No, I
think he didn't want. I think he didn't want the kid.
Yeah,
for sure, because he reacted very badly.
Yes,
but I think it was just the timing. Like he wanted to get finished with this, save enough money so he could write his fucking music.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they did eventually plan on it. Who knows?
I gotta say, either he didn't have that great of a work ethic, or honestly, his music writing wasn't that good then.
Right.
Because
it took him 30 years.
Yeah, it took him 30 years to write one piece. And, I mean, it ain't John Williams. That's what I gotta say. I mean, if he really, and he didn't want to be a studio musician. I don't want to be a studio musician.
Because they're sellouts.
Lots of studio musicians worked really well.
Right.
You know, there's studio musicians that were used by the Beatles, by the Rolling Stones. They're on fucking albums.
Right.
Playing instruments and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, he was a little full of himself in the beginning, but he learned.
Yeah, after 30 years, and he became an old man. He and Jay Thomas with their lifelong friendship.
Yeah, I liked that character, too.
That guy apparently stayed a bachelor forever.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see much about him.
But he felt like, you know, the high school kids were his kids. And, you know, they both devoted the same amount of time to the high school, which was not good because, like you said, the one's a bachelor, yeah. The other one has a family.
Right.
Yeah.
The other one's trying to stave off crippling loneliness and depression.
Yeah.
By being at school all the time.
Well, maybe they both were, though.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe that's why he wanted to have sex with a teenager.
Yeah.
But he didn't, so...
Gold star for Mr. Holland.
That's right. Well, that is our episode for the week. Carol.
Mark.
Do what you're supposed to do.
Okay, fine. I will take us out. You can write us at latefee1994@AOL.com. You can visit our website at retrolatefee.com.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your friends, give us stars. Put up boards saying,
lie to your friends.
Hey, this is a really great tape that you want to listen to.
Lie to your friends and say whatever they're into, whatever your friends are into the most. Like if your friends are for some reason really into, let's say, I don't know, Blues Traveler.
Sure.
Tell them, hey, this show, all they talk about is Blues Traveler.
Play them the one episode we did with Blues Traveler.
And say that's all they talk about. So listen to all their shows.
Right. It'll take them a while to figure it out.
And go to patreon.com/retrolatefee and join our little group there.
Yeah. Get some extra tapes.
You'll get some extra tapes. You'll get some early tapes.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's all the rage.
All right. Well, yes. It's a big party over there. All right, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.